It took about 15 years, 20 years. Eventually, after people telling me for 20 years, hey, your people are out in the desert. 2017, my Burning Man fairy godmother, Lightning, put a ticket in my hands, introduced me to my camp, and she is a leather seamstress who said, here is a wardrobe, fly, little birdie, fly.
Nice.
That's how much it takes sometimes. For fellow burners who are like, how do I get the most amazing person I know out there? Hand them a ticket, give them a camp, and give them a wardrobe.
Mm-hmm. Don't let them just dress up like a clown and show up. That's shitty. Nobody told me what kind of costumes they were talking about.
She went back and showed me pictures of her first burn. I was like, I can't believe I wore that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. No, really, I can't believe I didn't know. I didn't know.
You do have some fabulous costumes, though.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, my.
I think it is fair to say, hey, if anyone who's listening to this, if anyone is doing this for you, if anyone is handing you a ticket and a camp and a whole bunch of attention,
you owe us an interview.
You owe us an interview because you're awesome, and also, goddamn it, show up because this person is doing so much because they think you're so important to this community.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So you got suckered in.
I got suckered in.
And now you're here all, like, in a very deep way for a super long time.
I am.
Yeah.
For a super new thing that the org is trying to do.
Well, and I would say super 6 months is not exactly a super long time. It's a very long, short period of time.
And this new thing the org is trying to do is...
Fill in the blank. I do what I'm told out here. I do my best to try to do what I'm told out here.
This is Accuracy Third. I'm Rex.
I'm Beth.
And I'm D-Day. Nice,
Yeah.
guys. Season 6, episode 2. Off to a great start, in my opinion. We're keeping most of this in.
I
Today,
think it's great. I mean, you know, just because it sounds like shit and we're loopy, it's still super fun talking.
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah,
people
yeah.
We met in the nude.
if y'all were listening last episode 2 weeks ago, Beth, Rex, and I, we're all still drinking these pint glasses of some sort of absolutely horrendous weed drink. But we live in California, so it is kind of our job to do that.
Yeah. And please excuse us for our...
Gagging noises.
They're cocktails.
Yeah, the cocktail sound.
They're Pabst Blue Ribbon Seltzer spiked with some 100 milligram 2-ounce shots.
The ice makes it worse.
Yeah. Everything makes it worse.
It's not...
We need some boba tapioca balls just in the fridge for situations like this to make our weed drinks truly vile. Maybe we can soak them in some pot tincture to really up the green on these drinks.
You know, what I would say as a bonus about them is you do drink them slowly because they're gross. So the weed is sort of like slowly ramping.
Oh, yeah. I really feel like I'm hydrating with this awful weed.
Is that how you did yours? Because I took it down as fast as I could so that I wouldn't have to like linger over the thick, milky, waxy, soapy taste.
The ice cubes are like horse pills just jangling around in there trying to choke me and bumping against my teeth like boats hitting the Bay Bridge in the bay.
You can get pot drinks that taste pretty good. And you can get pot drinks that are good and strong and effective.
But you can't get both.
Them both.
Nope. Yeah, no. Pot tastes like a certain kind of medicine. And even though I like the effects of that medicine, like this is still like drinking medicine.
Like we did ourselves no favors by watering down the concentrated shot in the seltzer. We would have been much better off just like taking the whole thing.
Okay, to continue with this digression, I need to pivot it a tiny bit. So you know how this tastes terrible, right?
Yeah.
And you know how medicine tastes terrible, right? Yeah. What is the worst flavor of medicine you've ever had?
Like orange fluoride. Like orange fluoride. I just say those words and I feel
I know exactly. I was so excited when they introduced the orange flavor, and it's worse than orange medicine.
Yeah. No, I think you're close, but I have to say that it's the chocolate fluoride.
Oh, God. Gross.
Because it tastes like a chocolate scratch and sniff smells.
But also a
Yeah.
fluoride.
Yeah.
Also fluoride.
Yeah, no, that sounds atrocious. I thought that mine was going to trump all of them. That might be worse than mine. I may still be, but when I was a kid, I was very allergic to most antibiotics. And one of the antibiotics that I could take, they would sometimes give me as a liquid instead of pills for some reason. It was caramel flavored erythromycin. And it was like thicker than you imagine it being, and a little bit thicker than that, Beth.
Like they should have served it on a scoop of ice cream.
Kind of, yeah. Like almost a little bit more of a paste than a gel.
Maybe you were supposed to mix it into milk.
It was so fucking bad. And I would need to take like not one, not two, but like 2.5 full tablespoons of it was the dose. And after that first one, like this big fucking tablespoon coming at my little like 9-year-old face. We're just drinking that is my point.
Oh, so, to pivot it again, I would say I figured out how this introduction has to do with this episode.
Yeah, Beth brings it back.
It's because we were really drunk and stoned when we recorded this second part of the episode.
Oh,
it was late in the day. We had done a lot that day.
We had so much fun and so like. And by so much fun, I mean like breaking into storage containers and driving around and looking at Playa and filling out paperwork. Like
painting shit.
Moving into our new little houses for the day.
Yeah.
Just to move out the next morning.
And then meeting actual burners. Like, I don't know if you folks recall right before Burning Man this last year how incredibly novel it was to meet new burners because of COVID. And we went there and suddenly we were surrounded by burners. And it was just like, oh, right. Like I can just trust you all to be kind of great, engaged, lovely human beings that I would like to talk to. And it really proved to be true.
We do it because we love the people that we do it with, it turns out.
And speaking of one of the people that we love that we get to do it with.
New friend Clarity.
We also met some listeners, and it bugs me that I can't remember their names, but we met them at the same moment we met Clarity.
In the world's largest hot pond.
And if you are wondering if it's awkward to say that you know who we are as podcasters while we're all naked, the answer is actually it was totally fine.
Yeah,
it was so beautiful and nice there.
It's
and
probably the best time.
Yeah.
Like if you listeners
run into us at the Banya.
and we're naked,
yeah,
that's the best time to come up and say like,
if we are already naked and you did not just break and enter into our houses.
Good clarification.
See? I'm learning boundaries. You're welcome. Yeah, this is not blanket consent, but if we are in a public place naked, like maybe riding bicycles drunk to the tits in the middle of the afternoon, come up, say hi, ask if we are who we are. If we say no, be cool, like that one guy by the fire pit was cool. I love that guy. Like, I don't pray, but every night I pray to that guy.
Wow. That was really a moment for you.
D-Day has a lot of social anxiety.
My boundaries were respected.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like that for you.
Thank you.
I like that. So this recording was done
in a Quonset hut.
Outdoors, yeah, in the kitchen cafeteria of Black Rock Station.
Commissary is what they call it.
It is a commissary.
Yes.
Yeah. So, the sound is going to be outdoorsy, and we're going to be tipsy and very friendly with our new friend Clarity, and also Brace is there.
Yes, continued stories from Brace, who you may remember from last episode. It turns out we had a day and made some friends.
Primarily Brace. We meet Clarity a little bit, but we are going to have Clarity back later this season. We hope.
That is the plan. We have tentative plans to record again with Clarity. So if you like Clarity, so did we. We're going to try and get more.
Yeah, we liked Clarity enough that we spent a lot more time talking to Clarity than we spent recording ourselves talking to Clarity. Well, Clarity made a much bigger impression on the three of us than you'll get in this episode because of it. I listened to it and I was just like, man, I thought we talked to her all day. And I was like, we did.
And just in realms of what we're going to be talking about, Clarity had a really rough time at Burning Man this year, and it wants to come on and talk about like some shitty experiences out there, which is rad.
Yeah.
And we want to remind everyone, hey, maybe your Burning Man was shitty. That is totally okay. And the stories that we're interested in are just like how it is to human and what this event and moment does to us.
That's a really good point, because I know that I, in particular, come off real rah-rah Burning Man.
We were going to have a production meeting like with that as the only agenda item.
Oh, it's a good thing we never managed to have production meetings. That was awkward. But, you know, just because I'm a fanboy over here doesn't mean we don't want to hear exactly what Burning Man was like for you. And if Burning Man is something that you have trouble with, that you had a bad time with, we want that too. It's a big, complex thing we do. And sometimes people get arrested for shit. Sometimes people have terrible times in their volunteer roles, and sometimes people get injured.
And the same petty power bullshit runs through communities of all kinds. It's like talking about the way that this culture exists and can still capitulate the culture we're all stuck in. It's good for us to look at the ways that doing this stuff can be hard and even harmful.
And we'll be investigating that all season on the Accuracy Third Action News team.
That's a terrible segue, because I was going to just put out a proactive call and say what I'd really like to hear is what it's like to be part of a turnkey camp.
Oh, shit, yeah, please.
What it's like for a turnkey camp to go south.
What was it like to be in the turnkey camp next to our camp?
Dudes, if you have been in a turkey camp, we won't be upset at you. We just are really interested in the experience and the understanding of it. I mean, we will be upset
if
at you.
you run a turnkey camp, I'm kind of upset with you.
Right.
But if you are caught in capitalism at Burning Man, working at a turnkey camp, please let us know what that was like.
The workers, and if you buy your way in, we're just interested in the experience. We won't give you shit unless you're a piece of shit. Come talk to us.
Yeah, if you run a turnkey camp right now, we want to talk to you for sure. Send us an email. Send us your personal email, your contact information. We want to know exactly what your contact information for your turnkey camp is.
And you have to pay us one NFT each so that we will give you the code so that you can Skype in.
Oh, I think Dita and I can put some horrible voice changing software on your voice.
Absolutely.
Just find something that make you sound awful and drunk the whole time.
You start recording, have a normal conversation for 5 or 10 minutes to where they forget it's happening, and then go in.
Sometimes for an hour.
Before they can loosen up. That's a lot of talk.
Or we accidentally get them too stoned, and then they tighten back up, and they're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, so, what was really memorable during your first year? Oh, it was great. It was great.
No, it's fine. I just need to go outside right now. No reason. Bye.
I got a hug when I got there. I think I have free hugs when you get to Burning Man.
They sure did.
Oh, yeah. Now it's going to be free elbow bumps.
I've worked greeters in the past, and the whole idea of trying to work greeters this year, I don't know. It doesn't sound like much fun.
I don't know if this is true, but I feel like if you do hugs where you're facing faces away, you're not breathing into each other.
You want to practice a podcast hug right now, Beth?
What was the instruction we saw early in the pandemic? Intimate sex needs to be kept under 5 minutes?
15 minutes.
Oh, right. What?
You shouldn't be facing each other.
Yeah,
but the viral load had to be bigger back then.
This was an actual thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This was on a restaurant that was hey, you might have exposed yourself if you've had intimate sex with someone, which, by the way, means you face each other and it lasts for more than 15 minutes.
I did see the communications about doggy style is definitely the preferred method, especially if you're at orgies in New York City.
Yeah, I think glory holes are pretty safe too, probably.
I'm not sure what a glory hole is. What's a glory hole?
Well, it's a hole, and you put your penis in it, and hopefully you get some glory.
There are holes in the
I don't think there's anything glorious about glory holes.
Have you tried?
To be fair, no.
Yeah. Honestly, as a not penis haver, the idea that I could just like put it through somewhere and it would be serviced is kind of hot. I'm not saying anyone should do glory holes, but if you like doing glory holes, fine. Good for you. But you probably won't get COVID, especially if you have floor-to-ceiling protection.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, even if you don't, really, I'm thinking that like well over 15 minutes probably safe.
I mean, you're going to get oral HPV, but you won't get COVID.
If I've understood the conversation correctly, greeters is going to be replaced this year with glory holes.
Oh, glory greeters.
Greeter holes.
Just hugs through like a piece of sheet of plastic.
With 2 armholes.
It was so much better than what I was going to suggest, which is they just roll those packets up real tight and try and pitch them through your window from a good distance.
Just scream stickers.
Which they end up having to do about 10% of the time anyway.
So that was the end of part 1.
This part 2 commences.
Part 2 of this particular trip.
We're still here with Brace.
We are still here with Brace.
What's up?
I really appreciate you talking to us, and I also want to mention this other lovely human that we now have on our recording session. Someone we picked up at the hot springs just for being amazing.
I'm always down for being picked up,
Yeah.
especially at the hot springs. Make friends naked is the best way to go.
I mean, what do you have to hide when you've made friends naked?
Well, not your body anymore. A lot of emotional baggage. But moving on.
You really can't see much emotional baggage just without the clothes on. You have to get active without the clothes on before that comes out. So, Clarity, tell us about yourself. What do you do here at the ranch? Or you're not at the ranch, but here at the nearby property.
Here at the nearby property, I was hired in 2022, in April of 2022, to arrive to Gerlach, Nevada, to be the Gerlach Center front of house. Like most people arriving out in this part of the world, there's a lot of ambiguity around exactly what that's going to mean because we're making a lot of things up as we go. As Gerlach Center front of the house, what I've been helping out with is being the friendly, helpful human who greets and provides the information and or misinformation that is currently in my possession to those who request it.
And you're working at the 360 property?
The 360 is part of what we're doing.
This is your first role with Burning Man, your first official gig?
This is my first official gig with Burning Man.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a nice feeling, isn't it?
It is a nice feeling.
You know, when you cash a check from Burning Man, you are now officially a carny.
Well, thank God I've never actually cashed a check. They just do direct deposit.
Strong
Yeah,
point.
that's not
Strong
as
point.
much carny shit.
Yeah, I don't think carnies can get direct deposit.
I don't think they were allowed to have bank accounts.
You have to have fingerprints to have a bank account.
So, for those of our listeners who have no idea what front of house is necessarily, or any of us that don't know what that means in particular, who are you interacting with and how are you welcoming them?
Great questions. I am interacting with primarily participants who have come out for events like the Gerlach Workforce Development Center. Great event. I was here in May.
What is that event? I have no idea what that event
The
is.
Gerlach Workforce Development Center, to the best of my understanding, is a happening that's gone down twice now in Gerlach, where burners and or non-burners, the local community, comes to learn new skills, comes to participate in discussions and thought leadership.
I'm really tempted to go hard cynical right now, but you're really pitching.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? I was here for 2 weeks when I was a part of that event, so I'm doing my best to describe something I'm not sure I understand at all.
Hard cynical is our bent. You're more than welcome. We'd rather hear what you think.
I liked your explanation of it. I think it was pretty spot on.
What's your explanation?
Some fucking bullshit.
Well, to be fair, I have driven trucks for the man. I've broken my back for the man. I've delivered mail. I've gone on weird, random, special, all of these other things, and somehow managed to dodge actually getting paid by the man until Legal Man showed up and said, no, actually, to teach a course at the Gerlach Workforce Development Center, you have to get paid. It's like, no, I volunteered. Like, even this thing, Icarus, the Icarus build was all volunteer on my end, and half the people who helped build it were volunteers. The other half were official paid 360 and or DPW staff. And they said I had to get paid to teach this course, and I taught Intro to Cooperatives, the care and feeding of community enterprises. The idea behind the Workforce Development Center, as I understand it, is to jumpstart a kind of extension program for the community here in the Gerlach Center to provide skills, everything from how to weld. I took a welding course, the Solar 101 course that's on the Hive. Bruce comes out and teaches that. The idea is to help broaden the skill set of the workforce base here in town so they're able to help build their town for Burning Man or for not. I think the eventual dream is to get something like a community college vocational technical sort of thing out here, both to attract people to Gerlach and to help provide the workforce that Burning Man so desperately needs to make their Gerlach visions come true.
Are you going to get around to the promised snark when we gave you the mic?
Yeah, this is real genuine what you're sharing with us now.
The problem is detaching the very well-rehearsed public-facing answers from the deep, dark side that is in the back of my head and comes out at times. You've seen it, Clarity, haven't you? When I get super cynical.
How dare you?
Which is your new radio handle, which I think is amazing, by the way.
How dare you is a good radio handle.
I'm into it. How dare you?
I mean, I will always have a place in my heart for Commissioner Foxy, but...
Alter egos. Plenty of alter egos. I dare to get Foxy quite a bit.
Accurate.
Noted.
But for realsies, we can cut it out.
And we're going to need to.
I mean, to be fair, they did give me a lot of money to execute on an idea for them.
So the Pope gives me a lot of money to teach at a university, and I still say the Pope believes in magic, fake God. I think it's very interesting from people who are on the inside of the structure to be like, this part of the structure, I don't get it. I don't understand why it's happening. I feel cynical of it. It's not a behemoth that we all need to agree with every part of it. It's a whole bunch of humans making a whole bunch of choices. And being engaged in how those choices impact this fairly large and fairly engaged community is really interesting.
Brace, how do those choices really chap your ass?
To share how they chap your ass.
I don't like how Burning Man burns out people.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
And I think traditionally, Burning Man has been a very seasonally driven workforce. So if you don't like somebody or something's just not working out, well, you just wait out their contract and just don't invite them back.
Right.
And as the organization is doing things in Gerlach and really firing up what is a year-round workforce, a lot of those really toxic elements remain.
Yeah, the idea that if we don't totally let go of the workforce and recreate the power structure every time, what was the David Graeber idea? Changing power structure.
Damn, we just listened.
Yeah, just the idea. I love that, which is it can be harmful to a culture to have certain people who, instead of having a role that you pick up and set down, now you just have a role that is set. That is your role, specifically in power structures, outside of the regular power structure that we all exist within. It's too appealing to abuse power. It's too easy to be cronyism and nepotism and all of those things if you have it all year round, as opposed to, 6 months of the year you do real estate, and 6 months of the year you come out here and lead a crew. I feel that really deeply. I think it's an interesting conundrum when it comes to what happens if Burning Man becomes a full year round. Like, we need staff to support this, as opposed to a full year round, organization that is building this event.
And it's a matter of organizational and institutional capacity. The org, mostly based in San Francisco, mostly office workers, has their way of doing things. And when that culture of managing people and working in a year-round context comes clashing with the Desert Carney seasonal workforce, trying to convert them into a year-round real municipal workforce. I mean, you could make a very strong argument that Gerlach is already a Burning Man company town.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, how could you not make that argument? Is there anyone who lives in Gerlach who isn't directly related to the organization?
No, there's a fair amount of people that work for the railroad, that work for the county, that work for Willie. It's not 100% Burning Man.
And U.S. Gypsum is open again.
And not U.S. Gypsum. It's another different company that is contractually forbidden from having that gypsum end up in drywall.
Where does gypsum go if it's not going into drywall?
Pillows.
You're gonna hate the answer, but a lot of food additives.
Oh, yay! Indigestible garbage. Yay!
There are many other uses. I just picked the one that would trigger Beth the most. In my real life day job, I've been a manager in a lot of different contexts, and unfortunately, a lot of the managers out here have not been, and that can lead to really, really great, awesome managers who run really awesome crews and know what their job is. And a lot of really awesome managers have had bad managers, and they know exactly what mistakes not to make. Unfortunately, you've also got a lot of managers out here who don't know how to manage. And in a seasonal workforce, you can kind of live with it and move on. In a year-round workforce, it's not sustainable, and that sort of natural Burning Man burnout, which I think should be talked about a lot more. I mean, just ask Xeno and just go back to what Xeno has said about how things work around here and different management styles. Perhaps I'm talking a little bit too much, and I'm a volunteer. Except for that one class, I don't work for the org. But I think there's a lot of progress that can be made. And to be fair, there are a lot of people in the organization who recognize it and are trying to make that progress. But
It does look like the org is investing a lot in growing their organization in Nevada, like making permanent investments in organizational structure out here. So it's not being run from 400 miles away.
right, that is also true. But usually those issues were San Francisco issues. And that divide between San Francisco and Gerlach is becoming much, much more pronounced. And in any high-growth environment, you're going to have these tensions, and the lack of institutional capacity is going to show up, yada, 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 management theory. But it really hurts me to see really good people, really amazing people. I mean, this Burning Man thing attracts really amazing people, and it's really hard on me to see these amazing people not be treated well.
Yeah.
And I'm not faulting anybody for that, but there's a lot of learning that can be done out here in those respects.
I have seen a lot of fuck-ups in all facets of Burning Man and how people are treated, and not exclusively, but the vast, vast majority of them are mistreatments due to insufficient planning, just failure of foresight, and never poor intentions or even like necessarily poor execution, just insufficient understanding of what was on the horizon.
And that this culture of scarcity that is endemic to nonprofits, it leads to a lot of really poor decision making. It leads to a lot of abuse. I mean, look at Xeno's story. Took a really good guy, ground everything you possibly could out of him. Value cultures shift, and then it's like, oh, well, all right, cool, see you later.
To our listeners, Xeno is a warning. Don't listen to Xeno. It's funny. This is one of the reasons why I found front of house so interesting as a terminology that you're using, because nonprofit organizations have this real tendency to be like, wait, you love this? Do you love this? Do you love this? Come do this for no money. Come on. Come do this for no money.
There's definitely perks that go on with being out here. Housing is provided for, food is provided for, and we're out here making less than McDonald's workers.
Yeah.
Real mixed bag.
Like most things in life.
But there's rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
And spiders.
Did you think about the baby rattlesnakes as the bonus when you came out here?
When I first arrived, my welcome experience was arrive to the Gerlach office between 9 to 5. All right, I'm going to work for Burning Man. This should be pretty interesting. I pull in. Not a single horse in town, as would the case be with Gerlach in April. Walk into the Burning Man office, real excited about it, right? I'm lit up, like, hi, I'm here. And it was the experience where I was told, well, the way it really works out here is it's just one plague to another. You just missed the cold, and the bugs are here. And there proceeded to be 2 months of no-see-ums that ate anyone who was outdoors working alive. which was an interesting cultural divide as someone who primarily sits behind a computer unless there is a human in front of me to interact with. It's a real interesting thing to have the other people who I'm sharing community with are outside in these plagues day after day, being eaten by bugs in the sun, in the heat, in the cold. And then to say that we work together and we're out here doing the same thing when our day-to-days don't look anything alike. There's something to be reconciled in that.
The bugs that you're talking about, are those the weird, giant, black, kind of half cockroach, half
bug.
cricket bug?
No, these are itty bitty bugs.
The bitey bugs, not the...
They are the bitey bugs.
Not the stink bugs.
Okay.
That also bit.
Plague after plague. Are we talking about the stinky bugs
country
that bite
shit.
or...
Yeah.
That was a one-time special bug.
So where did you come from that this even sounded vaguely appealing?
I get asked this question frequently. I haven't figured out yet exactly how I ended up here or what is going on. My last gig wrapped up. I had just been to Loveburn. Definitely was taking a bit of downtime to reevaluate, kind of recalibrate what it is I wanted to be doing. The pandemic guided me to some real strange places in life. I applied for one job. I had one interview, 30-minute interview, and was offered the position.
Wow, impressive.
I'm much more acclimated to positions where you interview 4 or 5+ times before you get into a thing. So you have a chance to evaluate, hey, do I want to come hang out with you guys? Are you guys really sure you want me to be there? You got to meet the team. Everyone gets to vibe on each other. And it was a roll of the dice. You know, the woman who offered me the position, I got on a call with her, was like, you may have enough information right now, but I definitely don't. What's going on out there? What can I expect? Where am I going to live? What do I eat? I've lived in remote Alaska. From the conversation we had, I had a feeling I was going to be living somewhere where it was going to be quite challenging to access any of the amenities of modern life. Amazon Prime gets here with no problem, 2 days.
Depending on the part.
Depending on the part and how desperately you need the thing.
You have most of the amenities. There's showers of a sort.
But personally, for being seasonal work, which even my position is a 6-month contract, but it's still seasonal work, the living conditions are superb. I've done a fair amount of seasonal work throughout my life, and never have I had anything as comfortable as this. And never have I had employee meal plans that are as well thought through and well executed and like truly rounded, with the people who cook these meals will accommodate absolutely any kind of dietary restriction, and there's all of them out here.
That actually really shows how much Burning Man has invested in the life and culture out here, because that was not the case not very many years ago.
I hear rumors. I'm a rookie.
So, favorite art?
Head maze.
What was head maze?
It was the maze that was in your head, only in your head.
It was that unfinished sculpture out in Deep Playa that I ended up inheriting as a problem.
And that's your favorite?
It is my favorite. Honestly, I think it, even in its unfinished state, was one of the best pieces of interactive art, not just that has been on Playa, but that I've seen anywhere. It was an amazing collaboration of artists, amazingly well thought through, incredible in its executional scope, and a total death trap. Because it was a literal maze.
Made out of like 4x8 sheets of plywood, or
Made out of head,
actually, there was an
Are you not even listening?
incredible diversity of materials in that, because every one of the however many rooms there were was designed by a different artist, fabricated by a different team,
Wow.
and then put together on Playa.
this seems like something I shouldn't have missed.
Well, it was really only open for a grand total of maybe 16 hours during the burn.
That explains that.
The lines and
Oh yeah, I don't do lines.
there were very long lines because of very limited capacity environment. I had to call the Rangers 3 times to clear it out in my time there. I got called by the Rangers out there at least 2 or 3 times. The most ironic one of which was Leeway, who at the time ran DPW Power, was on a Ranger shift, and the call went out on Art Support Services. You know, Ranger Leeway for Art Support Services, no response. Ranger Leeway for Eyes on Art, no response. Ranger Leeway for anybody on frequency. I waited a beat, go for brace. And the odd thing was Leo and I had been interacting in his power team lead capacity because Burners Without Borders uses an org generator. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was the same person when I ended up rolling out to the head maze to figure out what was wrong. And Burners Without Borders has this container called the MRU, the Multiple Response Unit, which is a collection of people who are very, very talented and resourceful. And the thing I gathered was if art support services couldn't help you, they would say, go talk to Burners Without Borders. And a lot of the time it was somebody who said, oh, my gas generator keeps dying after 90 seconds, to which I'd always roll out with a hole saw and chop in the intake and exhaust holes that they had forgotten to put into their box that they're required to keep their generator in. Because a lot of these artists don't realize that gas engines need air and a place to exhaust the noxious fumes coming out of it.
Telling me combustion requires oxygen.
Yeah,
come on.
Right? And a lot of other projects that needed help with welding or lots of other different things that art support services didn't have the capacity for, they came to us. And so eventually, the powers that be at art support services said, hey, so head maze, they need help. What day is it? And I said, it's Tuesday. Yeah, they're still not done. They need help, like wrapping up their build, getting everything off Playa, and a lot of other things. And so me, Wes, and Juan, we all roll out there and we say, hey, we're here to help you clean up and stop your build. And ended up spending all night building a very large perimeter around very incredibly unsafe VR usage. And lots of other things. And so we go back to art support services in the morning. I don't think the evening shift had talked to the morning people, and they hadn't had their meeting yet. And I said, hey, yeah, no, the head maze is all wrapped up with their build. And they looked at me, and they said, you did what? Wait, they're really done? Like, they're not all over Playa still? Who are you?
I'm Brace.
Exactly.
And I'm out.
Get that a lot. And I ended up running the line, figuring out the logistics for how that line worked for running capacity. I basically, if people came up and said, hey, can I volunteer? I was like, cool, you're running the line right now. You only need to remember 3 things. 1 person in, 1 person out. 2, if a person has a radio that looks like this or a laminate that looks like this, they're the next people in. 3, if any artist comes up to the front of the line and they can talk for more than 30 seconds about their art, they're probably an artist. Let them in. Mm-hmm. Basically, it got overrun several times on Playa, and a lot of the artists were concerned about the state of their art in their room, and had it been trashed, had it been stolen, that sort of thing. Fortunately, mostly it wasn't. But no, it was an amazing, amazing thing. I really hope they bring it back.
I love mazes on Playa. One of my favorite experiences as a ranger was doing man duty when there was a maze as the man base.
Nice.
And there was an individual who had to get evacuated from the platform above the maze, and they could not get him out of the easy exit, which is down a fire pole and out a door, because he was in cuffs. So they had to lead him backwards out through the bays with us shouting directions from above.
That's funny
great.
Yeah,
that you
so much fun.
mentioned that, but the first rangers that showed up the first time that I called them, one of whom almost fell off the scaffolding. The other one of whom had managed to negotiate the person who led the barrage into the head maze for the exclusive purpose of hooking up on the top floor of the head maze.
It's the second best place in the maze to do it.
And so apparently this was a DPW person. They had said, you know what, cool, how about 3 minutes and you're finished? And they're like, great. And they were going at it. And then the DPW ranger shows up and starts yelling at the DPW person mid-intimate sex in front of everybody else.
And remember, intimate sex means for more than 15 minutes where you face each other.
That's right.
And then the DPW ranger and the first ranger on scene start arguing with each other. Now, if you've never seen 2 rangers on Playa in a heated argument, I definitely recommend it. It's one of Playa's best.
Oh, no, we've seen it. We have camp rangers who've done that.
I imagine a bunch of stern but level-headed talking to.
If it gets really heated, they'll start pulling pins off each other's hats.
I don't think it quite came to that. But.
That is a deep level of Ranger upsettedness if you're pulling a pin off someone's hat. You don't deserve this anymore.
You're being very unrangerly right now. No, you're being very unrangerly right now.
I agree with you, and that's why I'm taking this pin off my hat. No, I'm taking this pin off my hat. Sorry, the Rangers are a little too good for me. They're lovely. I'm so glad they exist.
One of the things that surprised me the most is the organization, the hierarchy that is in place. And as DPW starts to filter back into Gerlach, I'm understanding it in a different way.
Yeah.
That we have managers who have a good idea of what it is they're supposed to be doing, and they need soldiers who are just going to march and help them do that. And I think one of the interesting opportunities for what the year-round culture of Gerlach can be for the workers here is how do we transition from a culture where people just need to follow marching orders to a culture where people are empowered to contribute, where they get to bring the best of themselves and their skills. And this seems like the time where the culture of Gerlach is a very top-down, take your marching orders and do it, isn't going to be effective for the next stage of growth.
Right.
And as we do this year-round, what is this experiment? I don't understand the culture of DPW. I've never DPW'd. I'm around a lot of people who have. And from what I understand of it, the Burning Man principles are not at the heart of what DPW is or how they function as a culture, which for me, as someone who very much identifies as an active participant who shows up with workshops and gifts of airplane rides and whatever else camp I'm associated with that year, the principles have been at the core of my experience, and they are why I keep coming back. I learned while I was out here through one of the GWDC courses that when it learned/heard the rumor, I don't know which is actually accurate. When Larry was really fleshing out the principles, one of his top priorities and one of the things he wrote about is the fact that they were all in place to create the circumstances for experiences that open the heart. And for me and my involvement here, my involvement in my life on this planet is I want to be here for the experiences that allow me and anyone I get to be in contact with to have their hearts be opened. And I think as these paths are forged into, hey, how do we have a year-round presence? How do we spread globally in a way that is significant and has impact? If we can somehow keep that central to how we put power structures in place, to how we begin to operate and how we begin to navigate transactional spaces. We're doing transactionality out here in Gerlach. There's a lot of pathways forward for people that don't have the means to participate financially. And we offer the BRC storage program where people can buy a $5,000 storage container and pay Burning Man more than $1,000 a year to store it for them. And then they come out and they can access this container anytime during the year at the 360. So we want to have a space where, hey, we are here to practice the principles, and this is transactional. It is a different thing than has been done before. And to have the proper thought leadership come in to figure out, like, what is that? The foundations of this culture that I love and that keeps us all coming back was not built on, I'm giving you this and you're getting this, and here's someone who's the front of the house who's here to take care of you, but they're not really here to take care of you because we don't do that, because be self-sufficient. And it's been a really interesting dance to begin to navigate those lines with members of the community.
And the worst part about your job, if you show up to DPW, pretty much no matter what you're doing, hundreds, if not thousands of people have done that job before. It's put up shade, build boxes, fork the containers. I can't point to a single person in the Burning Man world who has been Gerlach front of house. You're figuring out how to do your job.
You get to write the book on it.
I get to read the instruction manual that's written by the person who's writing the book about it.
Yeah. Sounds to me like what you are doing is drawing a circle around facilitation. You're there to make something possible, not to make it happen.
Yeah, I'll nod my head and say that's accurate.
Yep.
Well, thanks.
That's close enough for podcasting.
Yeah, we got to our third thing first, or by the end.
So, as a person who is a burner who doesn't party and doesn't do the thing that we think of as traditionally Burning Man, you got dragged in because you're competent and the world needs help. What was the next step to get you out here where you're helping build solar panels and new shade structures for a better version of the burn in 2030?
Fly Ranch, 100%. I think as right after the 2019 burn, I started getting really involved in Fly Ranch. I was one of the people on the founding Fly Guardian cadre. I was a technical advisor for the Land Art Generator Initiative project. Have gone out with Joe to the ranch many a time, fixing barbed wire fences or moving things around. Burners Without Borders and Fly Ranch camp together on Playa, so we have a lot of shared infrastructure. That
two highly competent camps camping together.
Yep.
And from completely different sides of the equation. You've got the hardcore ranchers, geyser guardians, people that go out on that 3,800 acre property and figure out that there's an endemic kind of snail that lives only on Fly Ranch that may end up preventing a very big geothermal project from going in there. All the way to the Burners Without Borders, who are very involved in the San Francisco tech world, who are doing their best to do something good with all of that technology out there. It runs really the gamut from the most literal in the earth kind of things all the way to the most ethereal kind of tech work.
So you got into it through Fly Ranch in 2019. How has that been through the pandemic for you?
A lot of it was that seed that Joshua Tree from BlackRock Labs planted in me. All solar can be shade, all shade can be solar. And then really talking with all of the people who are submitting these amazing projects through the Laggy competition, talking about lots of different kinds of solar panels, lots of different kinds of renewable energy projects, water recycling, how do we grow food, how do we do all of these things. And after reviewing all nearly 300 projects, just sending an email out to folks saying, hey, I saw your project. Tell me a little bit more about that. And having that conversation all throughout the pandemic and mending barbed wire fences and cleaning up old aluminum things. You're out there working for 5-6 hours a day in the sun. You just get to talking to people. And Fly Ranch attracts a lot of really amazing, talented people, a lot of talented engineers, scientists, community organizers, the whole gamut of it. And you just get to talking. You're saying, hey, how about a solar shade structure that wouldn't involve heavy equipment? How would you do that? Well, I would do it this way. I would do it that way. And you get to a point where you have a very solid concept in your mind of what it is, and then you just have to build it. And almost no project gets built at Burning Man entirely by yourself. The original prototype was with Wild West, who was my ride or die guy out on Playa in 2019, doing stuff for the head maze and art support services and all of those other things. Yoel, who was somebody that I met during the pandemic. Really interesting guy, loves working on gray water systems. Juan was out there, Reba was out there, just a lot of people, that community that's really there to support you and say, yes, you can absolutely do it. And hey, we're going to get together and we're going to bring our impact drivers and we're just going to boom, bang it out and get it done. I can't really give you a more specific linear timeline than I had a whole bunch of conversations and a whole bunch of friends who showed up to help me build it.
That's kind of the Burning Man experience in a nutshell.
And a lot of really amazing things emerged during the pandemic that you'll find out more about on Playa this year. There was the Green Theme Camp initiative. And within that, there is another initiative called BLAST, Burner Leadership in Achieving Sustainable Theme Camps. It's a set of standards and practices that really encourage camps to become sustainable along the lines of power, food, water, waste, transportation, just getting camps not only to think about how they can do these things more sustainably, but really sharing that knowledge and that information among each other and really kind of jumpstarting that natural process that happens on Playa, sort of the conversion from rebar to lag bolts, that sort of thing, just on a much, much grander scale. so that we can use much less out there.
I just had this experience when I was talking to Benjamin, the artist of Stone 27, talked about feeling like he failed his first Burning Man. And that helped me realize that I had benefited so much from the burners around me. And like, not even like deep DPW, deep technology people. Like, my first camp knew how to have a kitchen. They knew how to like bring food out. I was set up so much better. My first year was 2007, and it occurred to me how much the technology of our culture builds on itself, which is partially why we have the brightest fucking lights in the world out there, which is plus or negative. Also, the hugest fucking sound systems, but also why we have developed systems like this. Both this technology and this social technology of supporting each other can come into play as we go forward. Which is a lot more hopeful than I've felt in a minute.
And that was Brace and Clarity.
That were Brace and Clarity.
Them's was Brace and Clarity.
Those they have been Brace and Clarity, and we have been Accuracy Third.
Can you
I
hear
have been Rex.
how excited we are in that audio? Like the three of us.
Oh, we were having a great time.
We were just having such a great time.
Winding down near the end, so I did that little audio magic, so our tiredness is shuffled throughout.
It was a long day.
It was a really long day. What a fun long day.
That was our first day at Burning Man.
A little update on the solar shade project that I got from Brace. It completely failed due to supply chain issues this year and him getting COVID before Early Man. But he says the spirit of those lives on. And he's headed back to Fly Ranch in November to pick that project back up again. So,
oh, hell yeah.
Brace has been working on the project all year and is still working on the project now. And that is the sign of a legitimate Burning Man project.
And just to be clear, like what we saw was like functioning infrastructure. When he says it didn't happen this year, he means that it was unable to be implemented fully in the way it was supposed to be this year. It still had some functionality, and it will be what it can be next year for sure. That thing was almost done.
Seeing Brace at Burning Man, so this is a moment that I got to have with him at our listener appreciation party where he was like, yep, utter complete failure. Everything is like just, It was with such grace and like letting go of it. And like, it was just so well handled. It, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, the worst shit happens out here.
Delightful series of failures.
Yeah. Oh, this year was such a series of failures.
And if you have stories of your failures, send them our way. We love a good fuck up. Please tell us your fuck ups.
Burning Man is a safe place to fail, and Accuracy Third is the place to document those safe failings. Don't let the world think that we're some wonderland of magical
competency
artists who conjure the whimsy from their imagination onto the bare palette of the playa. Some pretty intoxicated slackasses who slap some shit together.
Haul a fucking trailer into the middle of the desert, unsure if it's going to pop off at any second, and then kind of have set up a thing and walk away because Burning Man.
Oh, and
just to find it broken like 6 hours later.
Update on our favorite art piece. I am beginning to suspect that it is in no way an art piece.
Which art piece?
The Shack.
The Shack.
The Shack of Nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I don't know. I have now talked to some people in the art department. They've kind of like given me blank stares. if any
someone was just living out there.
Have any idea what was up with the Trap Shack?
Oh my God.
Out in open playa.
Yeah, someone please tell us.
Past 10 o'clock.
Did anyone else see this? Was it just us?
We all experienced it. Like 12 of us experienced it. It wasn't a dream.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 of us.
This was certainly not even like a shared hallucination. There was too much going on there. Mm-hmm. Too many of the details line up.
Someone, please. Like 20 people have to know.
Someone else had seen this thing out there. If you experienced this trash room we've
That's our question for the season. We just ask everyone about the trash room.
Yeah, and like I have to know now. If you have information, don't even like email us. Like call me.
Yeah.
Like just
text Rex.
Yeah,
He'll give you our address.
Text Rex.
Yeah.
I'll give you our.
Yeah, we've
address
got Spirit Airlines money.
Burlingame.
You can maybe camp in the yard. But like, we need some legitimate information sent to us first. We have a Proton mail. We'll give it to you through our Gmail. That's cybersecurity. The music in this episode was by Escher Beat. It's the same track that we were listening to last episode.
It's almost like 2 episodes in one.
It is. It's like one really long episode. 2 part 2s in season 6. Real jammed up at the front of the season. You're going to enjoy them. The Xeno audio that you're going to hear a couple episodes from now, it doesn't sound as good as our remote audio. That's the truth. But you are going to hear some incredible stories from Xeno and his friends at Flipside coming to you in just a couple weeks.
So part of the reason that we are able to put out these part 2s is because we've got a collaborator in Xeno, and this is your periodic reminder that this is a volunteer project by, for, and of burners. And if you'd like to participate in this project, A, give us your stories. We'll make a podcast out of them. Tell us about Burning Man. That's what we do here. But B, you can also help us do this thing in all kinds of different ways. And if that is something that sounds appealing to you, give us a shout. We can send you a mobile recorder to...
You have to talk to us first. That's the deal. You have to talk to us, and we have to get your stories, and then we will send you hardware. You don't just get hardware.
We sent that.
People keep running cons on Rex.
Nobody's run a con on me. We've got all our gear.
No, we don't.
Everyone that we don't know has returned our equipment.
Including Xeno.
Yeah. Reminds me, we got to send a recorder to Stabby Habby. Damn it.
Have Sweetwater just send her one. She can mail it back to us.
She can hang on to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Give her a dead cat. Xeno needed a dead cat.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the piece of sound equipment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, bury your dead cat. That's my point. This has been Accuracy Third.
I trailed off in the call to action. Fucking help us out. Collaborate with us. Gather material or become involved even more intimately. We are always interested in more collaboration at all levels. If we're not doing something and you know how to do it, help.
Could I just mention one more thing that's been stuck in the back of my mind?
Please.
Go, baby.
So we named the sculpture Icarus, and it just emerged one night in conversation. The more I thought about it, oh wow, that's it. Because if Burning Man is nothing else, it's a place where everybody at some point fails.
Yeah.
It's a place that's safe to fail. Mm-hmm. And unless we have a place that's safe to fail, we're never going to make the next new, big, amazing thing unless we have a culture where it's safe to fail. And if I have any criticism of the Oregon stuff going on at the Gerlach Center is that I don't think they're thinking about making it a space where it's safe for these new year-round or extended contract employees to fail.
Well, listen up, leadership. Let the failure happen. Embrace it. It takes 3 years to get anything right out here.
One of the things I've seen that's been persistent in the job postings that they've put out is that they are requesting people with startup experience, which is where I come from. And in my experience in a startup is you move as fast as you can. Everyone does everything to get the job done. And there's a high level of alignment around the mission and the vision. Mm-hmm. What are we doing and how are we going to do it? And that has been something that has been very vague, I believe, from the highest levels. We want a thing to happen, but we're not sure what it is. So we can't paint that picture. We can't get the whole team or the whole town of Gerlach, as it is, to point at the same thing and move there. And as they're looking and requesting, hey, we want people with startup experience, it's not a culture that currently exists in an iteration that supports that. It very much is a take your marching orders and move forward culture, for better or for worse.
But it is a culture that has shifted radically many times in its history. Big transitions like this are sort of par for the course for Burning Man. It's a new thing every 7 years.
Well, it's going to be a new thing this year.
It is going to be
Oh
a
my
new
God,
thing this year.
It's going to be so cool and weird and hard and awesome.
And come to Gerlach. Make friends naked in hot springs.
Yes, please.
Let them hand you a microphone and say yes.
Don't
Yes.
tell them that. They're
Yeah.
not invited yet.
Oh,
Just-
yeah. None,
just
of,
say
none
yes.
of you come to the hot springs.
Yeah, stay away from the hot
Do come
springs
naked.
and say yes.
They're terrible. The company's lousy.
Yeah, my God, the sky was disgusting tonight, right, guys?
I know. That orange had no business being in that cloud.
God,
Atrocious.
the worst.